Hey, greetings, guys. It's Fancy, and I'm the publisher and editor in chief of Swagger Magazine. And normally on Tuesday nights, we are able to host our Theories and Thoughts podcast via our Facebook page. But tonight we have had some issues, and so we had some guests that were supposed to come on, and unfortunately, like we've had some issues with them joining us. But one was actually attending a protest, and then greetings, y'all. And then the other one is Joseph Ward, who is um, the founder of On the Shoulders of Giants and the co-host of the Freedom Train Network. So when Joseph comes on, I'm hoping that I'll be able to bring him in so that we can continue the conversation that we were supposed to have. Thank you, Miss Veronica, for transferring over from Facebook. Hey, Anya. So those who normally watch the Theories and Thoughts podcast, whether you watch it live or if you're watching the replays on YouTube or the website, Anya wasn't able to join us because, of how we are trying to make it possible so that one of us can even have a conversation with Joseph. So it's just going to be me and Joseph when he comes on this evening. And hopefully we'll be able to get this conversation done and be able to still transfer it over to the other platforms in case other people were trying to watch it and unable to. So I'm trying to bring him in now. To the request, Joseph, and while I am bringing him in, um, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you finally.
I'm sorry, you know my anxiety bad. I was like, okay,
No, it's okay. Facebook just hating on us.
yes. Okay, so first I'll let you introduce yourself. I think that's
Okay.
always best. There you go.
All right. Well, thank you for having me here. My name is Joseph Ward, and I am the co-founder of the Freedom Train Network, which is a podcast network where we do our best to connect our community to the people and the resources within our community. And I'm also the founder of On the Shoulders of Giants, a company that I created to tell the stories of the sung and unsung heroes of the African diaspora, be able to make sure that people have easy access to learn information about Black history and the heroes of our history and won't have to complain anymore or not know where to find resources. So both my platforms are kind of um, connected as resources for the community to be able to use them and grow.
Okay. And also, we did, and we still do. I just have been very behind, and I keep saying that, but I still have been behind. But we normally publish the On the Shoulders blogs, so you have to check those out on the website. Also on, and then
Yes.
Joseph even does like the YouTube videos and everything that goes along with it. So if you're not a reader, then you can just sit and watch it or listen to it as well. Just noting that. So,
Right.
um, and I did say thank you for being here with us. But I do
Oh, no
appreciate
problem.
you taking time to have this conversation. So tonight's topic is the state of the Black man in light of
Mhm.
everything that has gone on in the past few weeks. It's just kind of like everything happened so fast. But I guess in some ways, if we go back as far as even Ahmaud Arbery, then that was a few weeks ago. So
Right.
we want to just kind of just pick your brain and also just kind of see from educated Black man, how are you feeling in this climate. So our first question actually was, how are you?
Honestly, I'm angry. I'm very angry. Um, the amount of death that I've heard about or witnessed or been around within the last week has me. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't even really been able to focus on my work like I usually would because I'm so angry since Ahmaud Arbery's death. Um, I've just heard about maybe 7 or 8 deaths. And I'm tired of hearing about that. I'm tired of seeing unjust killings of Black people, period. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I probably do need to go see a mental health specialist or a counselor, somebody that I can sit down and talk to and vent to. I probably do need to do that because I've been having feelings that I haven't had in the past. And I think it's just an accumulation of everything that's going on. Because on the other end, I'm still trying to be a strong person for my family, my community, and I'm really not getting the taking care of myself emotionally like I should have been doing in the past. So that's really where I am. This time has made me sit back and really reflect on where I am and just kind of take it in and be honest with myself. And I'm not happy. Um, I'm not fully well like I should be. I'm angry. I want to do a whole lot of things, but I want to make sure I do smart things. So just that's just really where I am right now.
Um, and I, of course, with the men in my life, I've just kind of been talking to them. So, most of them, they didn't go into that detail, and I applaud you for even just being able to say that, to share that with us, because that was very transparent of you. Of course we figure, okay, yeah, as a man, as a black man, he's probably upset, but also just to even, I appreciate the fact that you touched on you said yourself you will go see a mental health professional, because that's something that a lot of black men don't want to admit to. So
Right,
already that's like, even one of our later questions was going to be, how do we move forward from here? But I don't know. It is a lot to process, and like, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but after after Alton Sterling and Philando Castile were murdered in 2016,
hmm
that's when we really began to try to publish content for men. Like, so I just remember how I felt as a woman, and I just really felt helpless.
right,
And even now, it's like that feeling. And I saw another publisher say the same thing, just kind of like, we're all kind of in the sense of, you want to do more. What can you do? A lot of us, I
right,
haven't attended any protests, and they kind of admitted too that they hadn't attended any. And also, she touched on the fact that it made her realize how she wasn't in tune with, like, even local politics. So what's going on right there in
right,
her city? And of course, people oftentimes say that that's a good place to start, but it's still, it just doesn't seem to be like enough. And initially, this was not one of our questions, but of course, as we are seeing more of the rioting and so on taking place, what are your thoughts? Because I know that there's, on one end, there's the people that's like, oh, well, there's the rioters or the protests, and then there's the looters, and I think that
right,
for one, that really needs to be distinguished. But either way, to me, it's just like, in a lot of ways, I feel like, hey, finally somebody's stepping up and doing something. But I want
right.
to know, how do you feel on the matter?
But I support the protesters. I don't support the rioters and the looters. And the protests are this is black people saying, look at me, look at us, listen to us. You've been beating us down for 400 years plus. You've been oppressing us for 400 years plus. These killings with the police have been ongoing issues. I know I've studied the history of the relationship between the police department or police force period and black people, and it goes back. That stretches back to the 1500s, and it's not a pretty history. It's not a great history. I understand the protest. Um, I understand the anger. I have the same anger inside of me. Um, I wish that we would have come to a point in the past where we could, well, white America or others are listening to us, but we haven't came to that point. We're still being oppressed. We're still being beat down. We're still watching each other be killed. Like, this is stuff when we were growing up, we would see it maybe TV or video games, not in real life. This is real life. Like, people are not getting up off the ground and going back to their everyday lives. So I'm with the protesters. I understand the anger, and when a protest happens, that means the society has reached a point to where there's tension between the protesters and the people that they're protesting, and usually the people that they're protesting are in some kind of position of power, but they aren't listening to the people. And because they're not listening to the people, because they keep stepping on the people, here we are. And we're going to continue to have things like this moving forward until we get to a point to where people are serious about ending the structural racism here in America.
Wow. And this even, I mean, I agree with all of that, but I actually just saw something today that just kind of made me think. It was more so like along the lines of a spiritual video, right? And they were just, and again, this is, I you're probably like, where do these questions come from? But it's just as you're talking, it's making me think of
Right.
other stuff. So, I watched this video, and the guy, one of the things he was saying was like, this was still, I almost want to, I'm always mispronouncing this. I want to say systematic seismic. Is that how you say it? But like, because even though people are protesting and so on, but now it's like giving Trump it's giving Trump the opportunity to be able to declare martial law. So like, this
Right.
is almost like, wow, we're thinking that we're doing something good. Are we really, are we really benefiting? Is this really beneficial to the cause? Is this even helping to move us forward? Or have we now just kind of trapped ourselves in a situation? And one thing that he pointed out is, a lot of these people are coming to other cities and starting to protest, and then
Hmm.
they're going back to their
Right.
own homes, and they're not the ones that's going to be placed under these curfews. And now
Right.
initially that never crossed my mind, but then once he said it, I was like, you know what? And then when you think about it, the protests are taking place in places that's being announced. The police already know where you're going to be. So,
Yep.
like, do you have you considered that? And just,
Yeah. My biggest thing that I've been pushing is to have a separate faction that supports the protests, or organized faction, because the protesters need support. They're being infiltrated, like you said, they're being infiltrated by those who their overall objective is to cause mayhem, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're causing mayhem in these cities, and like you said, they're going back to their homes, and then military is being deployed in these specific cities that things are going on. And I kind of feel like right now our protesters are out there by themselves, and that's why I would like the community to be able to rally around the actual protesters, not the other ones, but the actual protesters. If they can have some kind of support, um, a way of communication, a way of identifying certain things that's happening. Because you're right, it is fuel for Trump. It is bait for Trump to be able to use, and that's why he's got to the point where he wants to deploy the military all over these places. But if we could support our protesters, and that's why I'm big on continuous community action, not just when these things happen, but if we have continuous community action, when these things do happen, we have something in place, some kind of protocol in place, some kind of plans in place, to where when we do roll out protests or somebody goes out and do certain things, there are ways to support it and there are ways to protect it. Because right
mm-hmm.
now it's just really vulnerable, and it's been taken over by people whose intentions are bad. And it is, like you said, it is fuel for Trump, and that fool don't need no more fuel.
Right. So, and even with what you just said about the, how did you say it? Continuous.
That community support, that continuous community support.
Okay, because my next question, of course, was going to be like, how do we even move forward from this? But I don't even know, like we're still, I'm not even really just seeing it letting up just yet, because people really seem like, there's years, what, decades, centuries of anger there for one. And then
Right.
also I think that the with us having just been sitting in the house, the whole coronavirus thing,
Yeah.
people have that energy, they've just been sitting
Right.
there. But are you foreseeing end in sight to this, or what? Like, do you have any tips as far as to move forward, or what?
I don't see a real end, because honestly, if I'm gonna be real honest, my friends and I, we've been seeing cycles of things that happen like this for the past 4 or 5 years, even going back to Trayvon Martin, where um something happens once every year, and protests break out or people are riled up every year. And it seems like it's cyclical because it happens, and then after a 2 or 3 week period, maybe a month period, the energy dissipates, but the violence and things still happen. And for me, the moving forward would be once again continuous community action. It's not pretty, it's not beautiful. It's the gritty everyday work that people have to do. It's the stuff that won't get on cameras, that really don't need to be on cameras, but really identifying specific problems in our community. Because I think we'll be fooling ourselves if we try to if us as individuals try to tackle everything from a national level. So it's just thinking, where do I live and what kind of impact can I make? Who can I connect with to be able to make changes within the community that I live in? And I think if everybody within their own specific community start to chip away at the changes and things that they want to make, eventually we'll see a wider change. But also within that, communicating with other people across the country, keeping those lines of communication open, real organization. So organization can start small, but then they can spread out. Um, Community development plans, community assessments, figuring out what the people in the community need. Now we know what the disparities are. We know the things that we see, but also getting into the communities that we want to help and asking those people, well, what do you need?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, those are things that we could do. Because if we don't, like I said, I don't want somebody to look at it from a national scale and try to attack it that way, and they don't have the resources. They either burn themselves out or they get overwhelmed. Where you can start locally, like it doesn't matter what you do. If you jump rope, go in there and teach some kids how to jump rope, and maybe that can put them in the space where they can learn some things different. But I just feel like some type of action has to happen. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I have all the answers, but I do know if we do nothing, we'll be right here maybe 6 months from now or a year from now with the same specific issues, the same type of issues, and not seeing any change. If we want change, we have to get up and move, and we have to do things and put boots to the ground. So to me, that's the step forward is do things. If you're already in the community working, continue working. Don't think that your efforts aren't enough. Just continue to do what you're doing, especially if you know you're doing good things. And if not, get involved. Find organizations in your community who's already doing things. Get involved. Just do something constructive rather than just talking about it, because that's not going to end the systematic oppression that we face.
Wow, you just said a mouthful. And I see that from the comments that they were agreeing with you, saying that you were speaking facts and that they agree. And just even, I've noticed, like, because I remember a few years ago, just kind of telling someone that I kind of admired, and I saw how they seemed like they could kind of organize the people. But I noticed that, and I've told them this, it always seems like men can organize, seems like a lot better, at least in my parts. I don't know. It seems like around here, just from my personal experience, you don't really just see people gravitate to a woman trying to speak in such a manner, but they did again tell me to start locally. And so
Mm-hmm.
every time I ask that question, that is what people have been saying. And I think that it's really starting for me personally, it's starting to drill, like hone in more to me, because I'm always just thinking so big. But it's
Right.
funny because I was just telling someone the other day about how change takes time. So of course,
Right.
you can't expect for this to happen overnight. And even when I asked you that question, as I think about it, I'm like, there's no way we're gonna really just see a total end to this. People might get tired and
Right.
start to go home, but we have so much further to go. Like as far as the changes that we need to be made and the rights that we want to have and different things like that, like we're not even close to that. And I seriously doubt that what has occurred thus far is still just enough for them, to feel that type of
Right.
change. Although I did hear that this has been the biggest like protest in history. I saw that. I don't
Yes.
know. I'm like, okay, you're the historian. Okay, so that is true.
Yes. Yeah, these have been some of the biggest protests as far as just the sheer number of total people, not just in America but throughout the world. Like, think about it. We're seeing people react who probably wouldn't have said anything 4 years ago, who didn't say anything 4 years ago. Now, I'm I want to be positive about that, even though as somebody who has been grassroots, I hate disingenuous stuff. So if they're not going to be genuine about their support or about the way that they're going about helping Black people or saying anything about what's going on, then we don't need it. But if it's genuine, then we can actually use it, and it's an actual real shift, because we haven't really seen this before.
Right.
So
Yeah, I've been really amazed by the support as well. Like outside of the country, and I was just sharing with someone, like for the longest, especially like even coming up in school, we were taught that we were the superpower. We kind of looked down on other countries, thinking, oh, they should want to be like us.
right,
And this has
right,
really, these past few years have really just, there's been a big shift in it. Like now other countries are laughing at us, and now other countries are speaking. But
Right.
I didn't even really know that other countries, and I had heard it before, but I really didn't grasp it, or I guess consider it, that people in other countries felt the plight of Black people here in America. Like
Right.
I'm sitting here thinking about, oh, they're struggling and they're like really, they're looking at us like they feel sorry for us. And so that just
Hmm.
really, when I saw that, that really hit home for me in that moment, just seeing those other protests in other places and just thinking like, you know what, like we've been playing ourselves, like we didn't even really know. And it's still, I guess, just a big matter of just still not even really knowing who we are and where we play a part in things. The reason why we do
Right.
have that, those type of attitudes. But also, of course, I wanted to ask, how can women better support our men throughout this time, or even through the movement? Just either or. If you could give us tips on either one, that would be great.
Now I do want to say I see a lot of women doing a lot, so I do want to point that out.
Great job.
There
Yeah.
are a lot of,
Great job
but they
starting
are like
there.
yourself. But but you're like yourself, like you provide a platform for people that may not have existed before. So what you're doing is necessary. Black media is necessary. There are a lot of Black women out doing a lot. But I will say, if you are a Black woman and you want to do more, you want to get involved. Once again, I would say find an organization, a organization that's real about community work, and join them. Um, you can start different groups with young girls, mentorship groups, certain things that Black women can do. Um, Black women, and to reiterate, Black women have always played a vital role in every movement or anything that Black people have had. Black women have played a vital role, because when I look through history, you can just see Black women there. Like, Black people don't conquer things if Black women aren't there to support us.